Fishy.
If you've ever been to China, you'd know that Chinese people love Transformers, possibly more than anybody in the whole world. But you'll see these statues all over in malls and all kinds of stuff. However, this one's a little bit special. Why don't you introduce it to us?
Well, this is supposed to be Megatron, I guess. But look, we've got a torque converter. We've got a couple of torque converters. We've got some clutches. You know, we've got the actual cranks. There's our valve cover over there. 16 valve.
It's from like a Lancer.
Yeah, there's all sorts of car parts in here. You know, brake calipers, Toyota brake calipers. I don't know what this is supposed to be.
Does it swing? No.
It's a bit inappropriate if you ask me. But yeah, these are all car parts, and it's kind of interesting to see.
It is. I thought it was just one of those stupid pikey little statues.
Yeah, but they've actually, they've built it completely. You know, this is a conrod, you know, connecting rod from a piston. Could be a motorcycle, could be a car, who knows. But it's pretty interesting to see, I gotta say.
They got a few more as well over here. And yeah, pretty weird stuff. Always finding weird stuff on the side of the road in China.
So what do we got going on? It is ADV China once again, and we've got another little adventure for you today. And I think today is something a little out of the norm. You know, we discovered something in the depths of China that might shock you.
Yeah, and actually it was with the help of our followers out there, you guys, over on our new show, which we'll talk about at the end of this show. But it was an amazing discovery of something we discovered when we were there, and then a little bit of an investigation led us to some dark secrets.
Yeah, so basically what we've been trying for the longest time to prove... Okay, wait, just switch to this background again. So for the longest time, we've been trying to prove something that we discovered in China. Now, we were in Heilongjiang province. Maybe you can tell people about it?
Yeah, so that's all the way up in the northeast. It borders Russia. Similar weather patterns as like Siberia. So you imagine bitter, frigid winters, well north of Beijing. So freezing cold, massive oil fields, a lot of wetlands.
Yes.
And it's also home, well, I should say, temporary home to migratory birds called the red-crested crane.
Which is actually China's national bird.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a national bird, I think, of a couple of countries. But you will know it because you've seen it in ancient Japanese paintings, ancient Chinese paintings. A very beautiful bird.
Yeah.
But like you said, oil fields. You see a lot of these wetland areas that would have usually been the habitat for many species that have been destroyed because of oil and industry and so on. And we were told that if we went to this one place, we'd be able to see these natural... beautiful cranes, these red-crested cranes that migrate there once a year. And this was the time to go and see them, right?
The reason we are so excited about that, / interested in that, is because there are no birds in China to begin with.
Like absolutely none. And, okay, of course there are birds, but they're very few. And if you were to compare it to any other city in the world, at least that I visited, no matter which country I go to, you will always see birds pecking around, picking up bits of discarded bread or whatever might be there and flying around, sitting in trees. In the major cities in China, you don't see them. It's actually something that once you know about it and you open your eyes, you can't not see the fact that there just aren't birds around.
Yeah.
And the only time you see birds are when they're kind of trained pigeons that are supposed to be there and people are making money selling food for you to feed them. Or if you go to a specific like wildlife wetland area or something that's been set up specifically for this kind of thing, and they usually bring the birds in.
Yeah, I was going to say the pigeons don't count.
No.
Because they're not wild birds.
No,
Those
no.
are domesticated, hand-fed dove pigeons.
That's it. I mean, actual wild birds just barely exist in China, especially in the cities. You won't see them.
I mean, even in the countryside, you'll just see wildlife to a much, much lesser extent than you would anywhere around the world.
Well, I mean, that's the bizarre thing. In China, in the rural parts of China, you see less wildlife than you do in the cities, built-up cities in most Western developed countries.
Yeah.
No jokes. Like you can see squirrels, and you can see lizards, you can see many a thing when you're just in the cities in, say, America or Europe and so on. You see little signs of life everywhere. But you go into the rural countryside and you still have to strain to find any of these things.
Now, I saw more animal life in Tokyo,
Yeah.
which is one of the most densely unbelievably packed sardine canister cities in the entire world.
Yeah.
That was hyper-industrialized, probably to the detriment of many species. Yet I still saw more wildlife in that hyper crazy futuristic city than anywhere in China.
Yeah, like we're talking about like in the forests and
rural
rural areas.
forests,
Yeah. Anyway, it's just a fact. Now, here's the thing. We're going to put this up in the background for you here. We'll put ourselves down in the corner. China's pretty good at faking things.
Yeah.
All right. The appearance of something is just as important as having that thing.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yeah, well said.
So what we have over here is a fake policeman, which you do find all over China. And it's the kind of thing you're driving along the road and you suddenly see this out of the corner of your eye. You're like, whoa, a cop, I better slow down. You know, and it's that kind of law enforcement without having to do any work.
Yeah,
you know,
lazy law enforcement.
Yeah, that's what they're going for with this stuff, because obviously it's not a real policeman. There's no camera attached to this. No. There's nothing that can get you into trouble. They just put it there to scare people to slow. It's like a scarecrow for drivers.
Yeah, it will get you into trouble if you're like me and you're tapping it because the mafia pulled over and threatened us to leave the city.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Messing around with this.
Because you probably shouldn't be messing with their fake police.
Why does the mafia care?
I don't know, but the fact of the matter is you get these fake policemen like this that are statues. You also get cardboard cutouts, which they sometimes stick on like overpasses over the highway.
Yeah.
In the dividing, area.
The fake cop car.
Yeah, fake cop cars. They have like an old wrecked car that doesn't work with plugged into a light pole so the lights still work and stuff. It's bizarre. We've got footage of all this stuff. Anyway.
What if I want to use the internet without a VPN?
Well, I guess you just have to be prepared to die. And you'll probably take with you your spouse and one or more of your children. But you know, when I come into a classroom like...
This video is brought to you by NordVPN. What's a VPN? A VPN is an awesome tool that allows you to encrypt everything that you're doing on the internet. And it's not just to keep prying eyes away from what you're doing, it also serves a massive purpose for security. You want to make sure that your internet connection's safe, especially when you're out there using public Wi-Fi. With NordVPN, you can protect yourself against man-in-the-middle attacks, which is when somebody is masquerading or pretending to be a public Wi-Fi address, but actually when you log into that Wi-Fi, it sends all of your data, all of that information, everything you're doing to their personal device. It's way more common than you think. With NordVPN, you can make sure you're safe from that and hop around to different servers around the world to access different content from different countries as well. If you go to nordvpn.com/ADVChina, not only are you going to get a massive discount off of a 2-year plan, but you're also going to get 4 free additional months. We love NordVPN, and we're very happy to have them as a sponsor on the channel.
So this was on the way to this place in Qiqihar, which is near the oil fields. You saw the oil pumps, as you can see them here. Yeah, it's about 100 miles away from this. So we'd been driving through oil fields all day and, that sort of thing. And then we finally arrived at this wetland area, which is supposed to be this natural habitat for these cranes. Now, what you're seeing over here is a little bit behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. We did include the whole thing about the cranes in our documentary, Conquering Northern China, because it is. These cranes are very important. They're a very important part of Chinese history and Asian history, specifically Japan and actually Siberia too, as you mentioned. It's well known all around the region. But this is a very good explainer as to how China normally does things. It's all about an image. So you can see the people lined up there. We were walking down to where you're supposed to see the cranes, and we saw this throng of like 100+ people just all lined up waiting for these cranes. You can see them all there.
We're slightly disappointed because we were told this is the natural habitat for these absolutely... I like birds, right?
Yeah.
These are beautiful birds.
Yeah,
and they're huge.
You can see them flying. So we're walking down. We see these cranes flying here, and we thought, wow, like this is interesting. There's these cranes flying around. Like, what's going on?
Hundreds of people.
Yeah. Okay, we'll explain it to you all in a second because it all will make a lot of sense soon. And there actually aren't that many of them. I don't know how many there are, 50 maybe?
Yeah, this is like one of the greatest scams you'll ever have seen.
Yeah. Anyway, this is us outside before we'd entered. Now, this is actually like a tourist thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to pay money to get in there.
Yeah.
And it's quite a lot of money
Yeah.
for the locals, 120 RMB or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
it's like 25, 30 bucks.
Yeah, and for people in China, that could be like a monthly wage.
That's a lot of money.
Okay, it is a lot of money. It can be for if you're in a very rural
Yeah,
area, but it's still a lot of money, right? So you pay a lot of money to get in there. So it's for the domestic tourists who are well-to-do and can travel around, especially the ones that love to go and take photos and things.
Definitely a hive for photographers with those really expensive lenses that they want to use on wildlife, and they want to take photos that they can go show off to people and say, look, I took this with my nature lens, and I went out to the middle of nowhere and got to capture these rare shots.
Yeah.
Meanwhile.
Yeah, so from the road, which, again, this is supposed to be like a nature reserve, but we can see the people on the left. And if you zoom in, I zoomed in here, you can see this really gaudy egg-looking thing.
Yeah.
Which is important because this will be part of the whole reveal later on. But this egg is kind of like a little museum thing where they keep information about the birds and all that. You can see it's just fairly newly constructed. The trees haven't even grown properly there. They planted some trees and stuff. But remember, the whole idea behind this wetland that we were told was that the natural habitat for these cranes has kind of been restored by the local government, okay? And so this whole area is now so good and back to like nature and so on that the cranes have decided to come all the way back from their migrations to come, to this part of China during this time of year.
That's an impressive accolade and a feat of nature if you've managed to pull that off.
Yeah, so that's what you get. That's what you think you're getting. You're coming here to see this natural bird migration.
Laoban alert.
Yeah, Laoban over there. Here's another one. Yeah.
Ooh, double Laobans.
Laoban's coming in. So yeah, you're supposed to come here, see these beautiful cranes as you see them here. But now, it's actually all a farce. It's a facade, right?
Yeah.
First of all, maybe you could tell people what these cranes are doing in this little lake and what this little lake thing's all about.
Well, so cranes are eating. So there's this boardwalk where you walk out onto, and that's where you saw a lot of the people.
What are they eating? They're
eating dead fish.
Yes.
Now, these are hunters. These are stalking birds. You can see by their legs. What they do is if you saw them in nature, they would stalk incredibly slowly, very in shallow water, very slowly for shrimp, crustaceans, small fish. And here, they're just gorging. They're going through their instincts, as you can see, but they're gorging themselves on completely dead fish that they don't have to hunt. Right?
Yeah.
And there's a reason that they're doing that is because they got used to this.
They've been trained to do this.
Because they've been trained to do this. These are nothing more than captured cranes that have been trained like zoo animals. Actually, I'm not going to say zoo animals, like circus animals.
Yeah, like circus animals. And, remember when we walked in, you saw that huge crowd of people and you saw the birds flying.
Yeah.
Well, they've been trained to fly in a circle.
Yeah. They're smart.
Yeah, I mean, they've been trained. You're going to see it now because they've actually got handlers here. These guys who walk around with these huge sticks to kind of keep them in line. You can see them there. Now watch. He's throwing the dead fish into the water for the cranes. Now,
stalking birds.
By the way, bear in mind, this looks kind of clean here, but we're filming this, and next to us is 100 plus people.
Yeah.
Okay, there's more than 100 people looking at these cranes right now, taking photos. Could be 200, I don't know. It's a huge crowd of people.
Yeah.
These birds are now walking literally a couple of feet away from a massive crowd of people right now. That's not normal for wild birds.
Very timid animals in the wild. You'd rarely see them. That's why it's such a spectacle.
Yeah.
You could almost reach out and touch these guys.
Correct. So they're right there. They're eating these fish that the handlers are throwing at them. And then they kind of go back over that hill that you can see behind us. Now, how it starts is when they let tourists in like batches, okay?
Yeah.
So they'll let a batch of a certain amount of people that can fit on the boardwalk,
Yeah.
right? So you wait till your turn. Whole bunch of people come down there, 100 plus people. They all stand there and they get ready with their cameras. Then they whistle and wave like a flag or something. And then all these birds come out from behind that hill that you can see. They fly one circle all the way around. Okay, like you saw when we walked in, you could see them flying. That was them doing their little circus trick. They fly around, and then they land, and then they get fed the dead fish. Okay? Now, here's the interesting part, is we came to film this as part of our documentary, right? And our one producer / cameraman who was operating the drone flew the drone up to try and get drone footage of this, right?
Crystal Palace?
Yeah, Crystal Palace. So he flew the drone up. And behind the hill, we all saw on the screen, because when you fly these drones, you've got a little phone attached, you can see what's going on. We saw that behind that hill, they actually had cages that they were keeping these birds in.
To live in.
Yes. So these guys who handle them over here, walk around, they've got sticks and so on. they herd them back into the cages once they're done. It's all part of their routine. So they blow the whistle, wave the flag, they come out to their circle, come down, eat their dead fish, and then they blow their circle and herd them back. They go back over the hill, they herd them into the cages and lock them into the cages until the next set of tourists comes along, and they open the cages.
Migratory birds.
Yeah, that are supposed to be natural.
Huge wingspans, taller than us.
Yeah. So we saw these cages, and we're like, what the hell? So they're keeping them in cages on the other side, trying to pretend it's like natural, that they come here for their migration.
Yeah, like,
but no.
now is the moment where they will arrive. That's what everyone has to understand. They're pretending like that is the moment that these birds are to arrive.
Yeah, so you see the guys there with the sticks. Those are the guys that are herding them back into the cages on the other side of the hill. And now here's where our fantastic team came in, because our producer did not record the cages. Okay, and there's a good reason for this. When we were doing our documentary, we were being stopped by the police. We actually got raided by a SWAT team not that long after this. We got raided by a SWAT team, and they went through all our footage and all that kind of thing. So on purpose, we were trying not to film things that would possibly get us into trouble. And exposing the farce of this bullshit, like, natural bird thing, would have gotten us into trouble.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. There are millions and millions and millions of dollars that have gone into this. Grants, environmental funding, international attention, and possibly funding from international organizations
World
for
Wildlife,
preservation.
that type of thing.
All of this stuff would have been exposed as a circus trick, where the animals' welfare is actually bad.
They're actually being abused.
Yeah.
They're being abused, and they're being used as a revenue source for the local tourism board.
It's a circus attraction.
Correct.
It's a carnival.
Yeah. So what we did is we've got a little patron-only show. It's called Shaban Ho, which we do on Mondays. It's a live stream. We kind of have a small VIP club. It's a lot of fun.
We just did a weird Chinese snack taste test the other day.
Yeah, we did. So it's a lot of fun. And we talked about this specific thing in the Shaban Ho show, because that's more about things that don't make it into our main China show. It doesn't make it onto the Adventure channel here, ADV China. So we were just talking about this, and one of our subscribers, our patrons that was actually watching it, went and did some due diligence and searched for satellite imagery of the area and actually found the cages.
He found the cages.
So, up until this point, we've been able to tell this story to people and say, hey, there were these cages on the other side.
Yeah.
By the way, this is after the birds are kind of dispersed and stuff. People all go off. There's some other attractions you can do, like paddle boating and nonsense there. One of our subscribers actually found the proof for us, so that now when we tell the story about, we flew the drone, we saw the cages on the other side of the hill, now we have actual visual proof, which, you can now see for yourself too. And it absolutely proves just how China manages pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
Yeah, it's all about, look, this is what we're doing. Believe what we say. Here, we're going to put it there, but they're taking shortcuts. They're doing things the wrong way. They're propping things up in the wrong... You know what I mean?
I think that when people, like analysts and stuff, look at GDP numbers or carbon output figures or green technology promises or any sort of agreement that China has made with the rest of the world, you have to look at the cages. You have to look at the birds. You have to look at what they do within their own country to dupe the populace, to get grants, to further corruption, to understand that a lot of the figures and most of what China puts out, if it's a government figure, is a lie.
Yeah, absolute lie.
It's a lie.
Yeah, and remember that egg is important because you can see in the satellite imagery, you can see that egg.
Yeah.
So you can see this exactly the same place. This is the place that we were. This is the place where the cages are keeping the birds. So these birds are probably not migratory. They're probably kept there the whole year round.
Yeah.
Kind of enslaved because they're so well trained.
Yeah.
Okay, they're domesticated in a way.
Yeah,
they're trained.
They're pets.
You can't let them go fly wild now.
By the way, I believe they're endangered.
Well,
this particular one
probably are, So I'm guessing what they do is they hold them in those cages and then they keep them in that egg or something during the winter so they don't die of the cold, and they wheel them out in summer and rinse and repeat all this nonsense that you saw happening behind us. It's actually pretty ridiculous. So once again, the Chinese government caught in a big lie on our adventures.
Yeah. You don't even have to look for it.
So, when we made a video a long time ago, it was called There Are No Birds in China. Well,
it's a follow-up.
There's still no birds in China.
Amen.
And the ones that you see there, it's kind of artificially inserted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little expose of ours. Hope you're enjoying the content that you can find on all of our other channels. If you're interested in joining Shaban Ho, please feel free. Links are down below.
Yeah,
Anything?
please join us. It's such a fun time.
Super fun. And we wouldn't have found the pictures of the cages without it, so we love it.
Join our team.
Anyway, until next time, you know the drill. As always, stay awesome.